I think it's great. You know, the assets mapping. How are all of you going to start with that? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Join in here. I'm not the only one.
I just want to know.
Yeah. I think the first thing we have to do is they said we have to figure out what we have in the first place. So we have to put together, and this is where the alliance can help, I think, because if a group of us people just start going out asking questions of all the people in control of transportation assets, they'll say, well, why should we talk to you? So I think the alliance has to come forward and say, here's what we're doing and why. This is how I think the alliance can really help build some credibility for what we're trying to do and why. So we have to categorize all the different assets and wonder what's key in measuring the effectiveness of these assets. Number one. Number two, you have to go understand the demand. Where are freight and people coming from and going to that are going through these transportation assets? Transportation is about moving people and freight. So we have to understand the volumes, the weights, the frequency, the timing. Is it driven by business? How is it related to people? I mean, so it's a big project. But if you want to start understanding your transportation environment, starting to deal with congestion, you have to understand where it's coming and why, how much of the timing. So it's really a combination of things to do that. So those are the...
So there's no, at this stage in the game, there's no region-wide mapping going on at all?
The one example that I brought up was the Gary, Chicago, Milwaukee corridor map that's being used for things such as congestion management and incident identification. So the use of that as an example, and then build on that in terms of consistent iconography, consistent reporting of data, and just basically having a baseline of development platforms. Then you can append all your data to and build out from that as the data comes through.
So are you talking really two kinds of mapping? Asset mapping. I'm hearing words used interchangeably. Well, one's asset mapping,
right.
and I just heard pinch point mapping.
Well,
for lack of a better term.
The first thing was to determine the assets that we have available, and then map the transportation on top of that. Because the fact
So the
is,
very first step is asset mapping.
yeah. Right. Just because we have, what we're talking about is that no one has really talked about what we're going to look like in 2050. That hasn't been part of the equation. It's all about what we look like now and how are we fixing what we look like now. We're not preparing for the future growth, therefore we're always going to be playing catch up. So first analyze the assets, look at the transportation on top of it, and then look at it and find out, are they even working? Because the maintenance side of everything, all the conversations we have on maintenance, whether it was ship traffic, rail traffic, freight traffic, car traffic, we can never keep up on that, and that in essence bankrupts. So how are we, one conclusion today was though that, we could do some small things that could make a big difference from the maintenance side to create a more efficient system. But then how do we build for growth?
What's an example of that?
Rail crossings. Rail
Okay.
crossings was a major example of where the efficiency is really, the maintenance side is really bad, but at the same time that could really increase the efficiency, but that doesn't change the growth issue.
Another issue that came up repeatedly in our group was the issue of last mile transportation logistics, where you have, whether it's an intermodal freight yard or a port facility, the exchange points between rail and truck or between truck and vessel, those locations are often left off because they're not in the interstate highway system, national highway system.
Right.
They're often locally managed and local management with heavy traffic and heavy weight traffic often leads to failure of those assets. So if you have a geographic mapping GIS tool where you can add layers, say here's a port facility, but then we can also add a layer showing intermodal facilities, transload facilities, major warehouse facilities, suddenly you'll start to see clusters of where all this activity is. And by identifying where those clusters are, you can then deduce that this is an area that's going to have a high amount of traffic, and if it's going to be on the local road system, that's going to be an area that's probably going to emerge as a need. And that's something that transportation planners have been screaming for. Give us a tool by which we can champion these last mile roads. But here's a way that it can be done.
And then once you have that information, then over a period of time, you can start to influence where what certain types of development will occur in certain areas to take advantage of the transportation capability you have in that area, which leads to efficiency.
It's not just,
Homing there.
it's not just a matter of identifying where the activity is, but looking at the underutilized capabilities, where you have assets that still have capacity that you can add to. So if you've got a congested spot, but then a few miles down the road, you've got a spot that has capacity that you can manage, it'll help to not have to build an additional facility or expand that at or above capacity facility if you just redirect the traffic to a profitable location.
So it can also be built on, so it'll be a piece of, it'll be a tool that can be added to as the needs change. And it can also be applied on multiple platforms. So it could be web-based, it could be movie-based, it could be, and it could be used in essence into a marketing tool. So we find really big benefits from it.
It all has to be just aimed at efficiency and the long-term goal. Where do we create an environment where businesses and many it's manufacturing is still a strength of this region, but transportation costs and capabilities are so important in manufacturing. So how can we create an environment where businesses will be profitable when they choose to locate in this region? We have to help create that environment to help them be successful. So it won't take as much time, it'll be lower cost. Then they can be, then we'll get jobs.
And by seeing that also, that we're addressing this as a regional thing, the manufacturers who are already here will not be as inclined to expand elsewhere, or they may be able to expand within the region, given the parameters that we've shown them where they would be most suitable for their expansion.
One of the things I'd like to add is that